done. Right. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, so good evening everyone once again. And for today's session, I told you earlier on also that now we are through with data structures also. We have learned about the basics of Python also. So I believe that we are clear with all that. I mean, from my side, it's all over. And
Sir,
I
your
hope
screen
that
is
you,
not visible, sir. Have you shared anything?
no, nothing like that. Not now.
Okay.
Earlier, I had put on a screen, but right now I'm not sharing anything.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So, most of the things we have covered, and now we have to start with a new concept, that is connecting Python with MySQL. Now, before we start, we need to understand that what is the need of connecting
Sorry to
Python and
interrupt you,
MySQL.
Abhay sir. Till the time you are not sharing, I request you to please click on stop sharing, because at our level we are able to see the same screen 2 times. So please click on stop sharing now. Yes. Thank you.
So, now we need to understand why do we need to connect MySQL and Python, right? For this, we can discuss various examples like in real life scenarios. Also nowadays we are using various social networking websites and even some mobile apps also. Apps and we can say social networking websites like Facebook, LinkedIn and all. They have an interface, right? Like home page. Okay. Now, if you open Facebook, the first thing that you get to see is the login page where you log in through your credential. And once you are logged in, right, uh, you get a page where you see all the posts and everything, comments and all. Now, basically, the technology used under this is that we have front end and then we have back end. Front end is where the user inputs the data. It's an interface, right? Let's say we open Facebook, and the first thing that we get to see is we need to log in through our credentials, right? We get to see a page where we are asked for our user name and the password. Now we input the username and the password. Now this is what a front end is, right? Now when you press enter, this data is stored somewhere, right? This data is stored somewhere. The information that the user is inputting, that information is stored somewhere. You can also say, some of you might feel, yes, it is of course stored in the memory of the computer, but we already know that this is not true in case, especially when we are using websites that deal with huge amount of data. And every time we log into our website, what we get to see is we get to see whatever we have posted and uh, whatever comments and whatever pictures we have uploaded, no matter when we are logging into it. Maybe you are logging into it after a day, maybe after a week, or maybe after months or years. You get to see whatever you have posted, right? How is it possible? It is possible because this information of yours is stored in the backend, right? So backend is a place where the inputs of the users are stored permanently. Okay. So now from today onwards, we will learn that how we can have a user interface that's front end in Python, and then how we can send or store the inputs of the user into a backend that's called a database, right? Now, MySQL is basically a kind of, in simple terms, I'll say, is a technology wherein we create databases, and in those databases we can store huge amount of information. But before we proceed, let me ask you a quick question, and I believe every one of you can answer. What is a database? What is the significance of a database? Anyone? Anyone, please.
So, database is a collection of records organized in a manner, in a proper manner.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So databases, basically in databases we store information, and that store information is stored in a structured way, right? In the form of rows and columns. Okay. So now today we will learn all about what databases are, and we will also uh, learn about MySQL, right? SQL stands for Structured Query Language. I'll not go into the details right now, theoretical details, but what I can tell you is databases basically store huge amount of information, and this information is stored in the form of rows and column, tabular form. And SQL is a language, structured query language, is used to retrieve data from the database, right? So in case you have stored some information in the database and you want to retrieve that information from the database, so in that case we use MySQL. Now, why do we need MySQL? Let's first come to the presentation of, and I'll explain it to you. First, let's discuss about the prerequisites, what all we need to, we should already know. And so Python can be used in database application. We have already learned this. So and this is what we are going to learn practically, that how we can use databases with Python. And one of the most popular database language is, sorry, databases is MySQL. There are many others, starting with a very basic Microsoft Office Access, Microsoft SQL Server we have. Some of you must have also used Oracle, right? MySQL, as we know, is very popular. And nowadays there is one more database language that's getting a lot popularity. It's MongoDB, right? NoSQL, you must have heard of it. But still, lots and lots of developers still prefer to use MySQL. The prerequisites for this is you should at least have some knowledge of Python. Version, it doesn't matter, but yes, 3.7 and on is important. SQL Server, WAMP, MySQL, this is not required, because I'll tell you why this is not required. But what we need is at least we should have thorough knowledge of Python, and then we need to have this application installed on our computer. That's MySQL shell for Windows. Okay. Later on in the session, I'll tell you from where to install it and how to install it. But let's first quickly learn how we can use MySQL and Python together. So what is a database? We have already discussed this, that what a database is. Basically, it stores information in electronic form, and this information is stored in rows and columns, right, in tabular form. And to retrieve this information, or we can say to organize this information, we need to use a language which is called SQL, Structured Query Language. So let's start with MySQL. Okay. As far as the prerequisites are concerned, we already know Python very well now, and we need to have this MySQL shell for Windows. I have already installed this on my computer, so I'll be taking you, just have a look at how it looks and how it works, and I'll show you how we can run MySQL commands on MySQL shell. So just hold on, please. So to start with, now my screen is visible now. Yeah, is this visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So to start, what you have to do is just go to the search box and there you can type MySQL. Although you might not have this because first thing is that you need to install it on your computer. I told you I'll share with the link with you how from where you can install it. But now, what you have to do is what you just have to type MySQL, and you will have this MySQL shell. Click on it, and you get this screen, right? MySQL shell. So CUI based interface है यहाँ पे हमारे सामने, ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं है. So we need not to worry. Again, all you need to do is you need to learn to execute MySQL commands. So this is what we will learn. But before we start executing the SQL commands here, the first thing that we need to do is we need to connect to the MySQL local server. Now, what is this local server? We also call it local host. Generally, देखिए जब हम डील कर रहे हैं नेटवर्क से, तो नेटवर्क में ऐसा हो सकता है, especially these websites we were talking about Facebook, you know, their servers are placed somewhere else, maybe somewhere in America or some other region of the world, right? And when we are using it, we are from home, right? And we are using the internet. We are using the internet to connect with database, right? But here now the problem is, although we have internet here, we are connected through the internet, but हमें use नहीं करना है, कोई और server नहीं use करना है, हमें अपनी machine का ही server use करना है. So to even use server, MySQL server that is installed on our machine, we need to first connect. पर हम connect हो जाएंगे, then we will be able to access all the information that is stored in the server. Okay, so the first step is to connect. Now, have a look at this. You already know this. I'm sure you might be knowing it. What does it mean? This is a prompt. Okay, this is a prompt. Just like we have a prompt in Python IDLE, right? Same way here also we have a prompt here. The cursor is blinking, so it's ready to accept the commands. इतना ही इंटरफेस मिलेगा आपको MySQL shell में, इससे ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं मिलेगा, right? Now, how to execute the first command? What should be the first command? As I told you, the first command is that you need to connect to the local server. So, उसके लिए the command is, if you want to make a note of it, you people can make it, or otherwise, recording is already there. So, connect. Generally, the local server is like this. Localhost, and then you need is the port. Right? Press enter, and you will get to see this. Okay. Now, we are connected to the database basically, right? We are connected to the database, right? Now, look at this prompt here. It's still showing JS, right? Now, if we try to execute the SQL commands, it won't take it. So what we need to do is we need to convert this, okay, into. We need to prepare it for taking SQL commands, right? For that, what you need is, sorry. Okay, this is what you have to type. I'm again repeating it. SQL. We need the backslash and SQL. Press enter. And you can see you must have a difference here a bit, as the prompt now has changed. Earlier prompt was showing JS, right? And now it's SQL. I think आपको clear हो रहा होगा. Let me repeat it for you. The first thing that you have to do it again. I'll show it to you again one more time how to start and connect to the SQL shell. MySQL shell, right? Now the next step is that we need to connect to the local host. For this, you need /connect root @ localhost. Okay, and then you need to give the port number. हो सकता है आपको ये थोड़ा सा mistake है, sorry. थोड़ा सा आपको लग रहा हो कि technical है, but don't worry, it's just a command. You'll get to use it afterwards when you'll install it, and it's quite easy. अगर आप बार बार connect करोगे तो आपके mind में ये set हो ही जाएगी. एक दो बार, of course, it takes time, but there is nothing to it. It's very simple. /connect is the keyword here, and root. अगर आप Windows operating system use करते हो तो Windows में basically we use administrator password, or sorry, administrator username or admin as a username. But बाकी कई operating systems जो हैं, कई apps जो हैं, वो admin या administrator की जगह root लेते हैं. Okay. So here we are connecting to the MySQL server as a root user, can say an admin user, and we are connecting to the local host, that is the local server, using the port this, right? We'll use 3306 default port. Okay, enter press. Okay. So these few lines here just to tell it is ready, right? But there is no change in the prompt except for this thing, localhost SSL. Otherwise, it is still using JS, right? Now as we are using the JS, so it will not take any SQL command. So to make it work with SQL or interpret SQL command, first thing you have to do is you need to change it to SQL prompt. How to do that? /SQL and press enter. You'll see this difference here, right? अब सब कुछ MySQL हो चुका है और SQL commands के लिए the prompt is ready. So this means that now our local server is ready to accept commands, right? SQL commands. So now let's learn what SQL is, right? And how we can use it. देखिए सबसे पहली चीज जो होती है वो एक डेटाबेस में सबसे top hierarchy पे you have databases. In databases, under the databases, we create tables, and tables have rows and columns, and these rows and columns basically hold data values. I'll repeat it for you. Hierarchy है, सबसे ऊपर होता है database. Databases के अंदर we create tables, right? And table के अंदर we have rows and columns, and rows and columns में हम रखते हैं data values, right? So the first thing we need to work on is database. So जब आप MySQL install करोगे, there will be by default there will be databases in your system. By default install होते हैं. So just let's have a look at what all databases do we have. So if you want to know what all databases are installed in your computer or in your SQL server, then you need to use this command, show databases. So terminate कीजिए and press enter. You'll get this list here, right? These are all default databases जो मैंने नहीं बनाया है, they are already there. Pre-existing है, package में पैसे ही आते हैं, already there. So these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, total 6 databases are there. So it is showing us the list of databases that are available in MySQL server, localhost. Okay, so this command, show databases command, is used basically to see how many databases or what all databases are installed on your computer, right? सिंपल कुछ नहीं है, टर्मिनेट आपको इससे करना है सेमीकोलन के साथ हर कमांड को. You know the purpose why it's used to tell the compiler that this is the end of the command. इसके आगे कुछ नहीं. So now we have a list of databases. अब इन databases को हमें use करना है. Otherwise SQL commands आप जो भी चला लीजिए आप data fetch नहीं कर पाओगे properly databases. So how to start using a database? Command is used, and let's use this database क्योंकि इसमें काफी data है. It's already available to us. Okay, all we need to do is we can fetch it or organize it or change it according to our own choice. So it's pre-existing database, that's why I'm using it. Others जो हैं बाकी जो हैं information underscore schema mysql, all these are basically system databases. इनको हमें touch नहीं करना है, कोई जरूरत नहीं है. Okay, so to use a database, the command is use and the name of the database. Terminate this and तो आप देख सकते हैं default schema set to the database. So now our database is ready. अब database तो आ गया. I told you databases में क्या होता है? Tables. So now how we can see at what all tables are available under this database world. So same ही command है show tables. Okay. Press enter and you'll get to see a list of tables that are available under the world database. So we have city, we have country, and we have country language. So in all under the world database we have 3 tables: city, country, and country language. So now we have databases, we are using the world database, and under this database we have 3 tables. Now let's see in tables में क्या है, right? One way is that directly we can use a command, SQL command. See, all these are SQL commands, right? जो भी हमने किया है, use word database name or use table name, all these are SQL commands. So we are using SQL, right? So one way of finding out what is there in the table is this select asterisk from the name of the table. This is a very basic SQL command. Beginners generally यहीं से start करते हैं, right? Select means SQL की एक बहुत बड़ी खासियत ये है कि SQL is very popular because of the simple reason that the syntax of this language is very close to English, right? So select means, you know what does it mean? Select means select करना है, to fetch. Asterisk here means everything. Select everything from कहाँ से fetch करना है? The table. So you know this command means that I want to fetch all the records or all information from city table, right? When we press enter, this will be sent to the database. Database will these are the values for data stored in this table. There are not many values there. Right? I'm sure but you can see there are 4079. You can see this. I hope it's visible to everyone. 4079 rows are there. These many records are there in this table. I'll show you one more time how to execute this command. Select star from this आपको select करना है. By pressing the screen on, right? Data records. And again, if you let enter, go scroll down.
Sir, your voice is not at all clear, sir.
Sir, the voice is echoing.
Javed sir, are you able to listen to us? Javed sir, are you there? Is my voice also echoing?
No, sir. Your voice is
Okay,
clear.
probably some network issue. Just pause for 2 minutes. He'll be right back, I guess. Must be sorting things out.
Yeah, audible now?
Yes, sir, you are audible. Welcome back.
Okay, okay. I think there was a problem with the connection.
Yes.
Okay, so do I need to repeat whatever I just now I told you? Or is
Just
it
last
okay?
two lines. Just last two lines.
Okay, okay. Now, if you look at the output, right, there are a lot many records. Uh, is my screen visible? Sorry. Sorry.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Yes, it's coming now. Thank you.
Okay. So now you can see a lot many records here, right? And once we scroll down, you'll get to see the total number of records that we have fetched. That's 4079. Total 4079 records have been fetched, and we use this command, right? Select star from the table name. So there are other tables also. Now we know that how we can fetch the records from the table. How do we get to know that how many tables are there and what all tables are there in the database? Anyone who can just tell which command is used to see what all tables are stored inside a database. Just now we learned that how we can see how many tables are there.
Show tables.
Yeah.
Show tables, sir.
Show.
Tables.
Right. Correct.
Sir,
Good.
show table, sir.
Show tables. If you press enter, you'll get to see, right, all the tables that are stored under the database. So we have worked with city, so we can also see what kind of information is available under other tables. Country. Oh, country has, yeah, total 239 records are there in this table, right? You can scroll up or down to check, right? Similarly, one more table is there, show tables, and yes, we have select star from country language. Press enter. 984 rows are available in this table, right? So this is how we can see, we can fetch records from the table. But this is not a good way, especially in the beginning, if you just want to check what kind of information is available in the table. इसकी एक problem आपने देखी है कि especially in a table where there are a large number of data values, so it just scrolls down very quickly. So we don't get to see actually कि है क्या records हैं क्या available क्या है इसमें, right? All we can see is the records, but क्या record है, किस तरह का record है, we don't get to see. So there is a command that's described and the name of the table. Let's say city. Okay. If you press enter, you will get to see this information. Now this query has basically is showing us that there are these many fields in this table, right? How many are there? There are total five fields are there, and they are named as ID, name, country code, district, and population. This is the data type of each individual field. ID का integer है, name का character है, country code is character, district again is character, population is integer value, right? And this we can leave अभी तक. This is not required, and key is also not required. We'll come to it afterwards. Auto increment है या नहीं है, we'll come to it afterwards. But this command, using this command, we can easily find out, right, what kind of information is available in the table, right? Field names will be given, then the type of data they hold. So same way, if you want to see और कौन सा टेबल था यहाँ पे, एक और टेबल अवेलेबल था, but let's see this. Okay, let's say country.
Country, sir.
Yeah, country. Press enter and you'll get to see this. हर एक टेबल का अपना है. So this table has these many fields, right? Code, name, continent, region, surface area, and everything is there, right? These are the data types. These type of values these fields hold, right? And null and key, we'll discuss this afterwards. So this is the best way of looking at what the table holds for us, right? Although you can use the select star wali command also, but in case you don't want to scroll down, like you don't want to scroll down thousands of values, so in that case all you can do is you can use the describe command. Describe and the name of the table, and that's done. Okay, so now let's move back again to the select star command, because that's very important in the sense that there are different ways of using it. It's not like that we can only use it for fetching everything from a table. There are other ways also we can use it. So select star from city, so we have all the records. Now what if I don't want to see all the fields? So if we use the describe command and see what all fields are there in the city table, we'll see that it has ID, name, country code, district, and population. Let's say now, for now, I'm only and only interested in fetching the name of the country code, and the population, right? I don't want to see all the fields, records that are available for all the fields. I'm only interested in fetching records for ID, name, and population. So very easy, आपको सिर्फ वही fields name डालने हैं जो आपको चाहिए in the query, right? Name, country code. Sorry, I don't need country code. I just want to see the population. I can see here star, because I don't want everything. I don't want all the fields, so that's why I'm using specific field names, right? But that's why ID ले लिया मैंने, name ले लिया, population, and I'm going to fetch records from which table? From city. Just press enter and see. Now if you see, अगर हम इसको scroll करके, although it will take a lot of time because there are a lot of records, so I'll just, okay, look at this. Now this was the command, SQL command, select ID, comma name, comma population from city, and this is the result. So we have now ID here, we have name, and we have population, right? So this is how we can select records for specific field names, right? This way. Okay, clear? Individual, you can either use one single field also. Just try to select name from city. This will also do. So it will only show the names of the right. So this is how select can be used, but select का यहीं खत्म नहीं हो जाता. There are other ways also we can use the select. Now let's see, if I want to fetch a specific record, I just want to check that किसी एक particular city की population क्या है. So select star from city. And suppose I just want to know the population of the city whose country code is 1514. Okay, I just want to see the population of this country along with its name. Let's see, मुझे name भी चाहिए and इसकी population भी चाहिए. So I can write select name comma population from city where. Now we are introducing the where clause here. Where clause वहाँ पे होता है use जहाँ पे we just want to fetch specific records, not all the records, but we want to fetch specific records, because here we just want to fetch the name and population, right, of the city whose ID is 1514. So ID equal to 15 and 14. Press enter and you'll see. अब आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं, just check the output. So we have this city here and its population, right? If you are not sure कि वाकई ये country code ID is correct or not, what you can do is simply add ID in the field names. Now we have 1514, this is the name and this is the population, right? So if you want to fetch specific records, in that case we can use the where clause. It's called a clause, right? Otherwise, if you don't use the where clause, what will happen then? Anyone? If I remove this, let's say I'm not using the where clause, then what will be the output? Anyone?
Contents
Okay,
of
the
the
output
entire
would be,
table. Contents of the entire table.
yes, it will show the content of the entire table of fields ID, name, with field ID, name and population, right? That's the major difference. So if in case you want to fetch specific records from your table, then in that case we can use the where clause. Okay. Now few more things we can try is let's have a look, proper look at the records. Okay. What about the name? Let's say I want to fetch now the record of a city whose name is Eddie, okay, on 29th. Okay. Now, what will be the query? I want to fetch the ID. Name we already have. I want to know the population, right? I want to know the ID. I want to know the population of the city whose name is Ede, EDE. So what will be the query? Anyone who wants to try?
Sir, could you please repeat the question, please?
The question is, I want to fetch the ID and population of the city whose name is Ede, EDE.
Sir, select
So
ID,
how do
comma,
you write it?
sir,
Select
select
ID, okay,
ID, comma, name. Okay,
You want to fetch
population
the
you
name?
want to take.
No, I just want to fetch the
From
population.
city where
Name,
You'll
like,
write
we can
population,
use the like,
okay, from
or we can write where from city where name equals to, in quotes we will write that the code that you were telling, sir.
it's Eddie.
Yes,
city,
EDE.
right? So we got two records. Now, why we got two records? Maybe there are two cities with the same name. हो सकता है, yes, of course it can be. कोई और name use कर लेते हैं. Gaza is quite popular. Yes, ठीक है, ठीक है. So there might be two cities with the same name. हम उससे देख सकते थे how we can do it. Just if we type in here name also. Yeah. There are two cities with the same name, right? That's why we got two different records. But yes, when we use this, where name equal to Gaza, so we got this, right? This is the output. So ID of Gaza is 4074, and this is the population, right? So now we have learned that if you want to fetch specific records, then in that case we can use where. But the good thing about where is it has a lot of variety to it, right? We can also use our logical operators like and, or, and not with where. Okay. Let's say now I want to fetch record of a city whose name is Gaza, and uh, and its ID is 4074. I just want to fetch the population. Okay, I want to know what is the population of the city named Gaza, and I know that its ID is 4074. So how I will write this query? So I just want to know about the population. So I'll just write population, right? From कहाँ से fetch कर रहे हैं? From city, where now the first thing is the name should be Gaza. I will use and ID equal to, what is the ID of Gaza? 4074, right? So press enter and you'll see this. Now, and is basically used when, now in this case, in where we have two different conditions, right? So the first condition is that the name of the city should be Gaza and the ID should be 4074. This we can understand better with the help of this example. एडे का जो हमारे यहाँ पे एक हमें प्रॉब्लम आई थी, प्रॉब्लम नहीं थी, but it's the data is like this, so it's not a problem that we have two cities here with same name. Now let's say I want to know, okay, I just want to have population of the city whose name is Ede, but its ID is 2759. So how I'll write the query? Select, sorry, population from city where name तो वही रहेगा EDE and ID is 2759, right? So now you can see here जिसने fetch किया है सिर्फ इसको, ठीक है जी? So this is how and can be used with the where clause. And is used especially when we have more than one condition. Okay, we can add more conditions to it, and laga ke we can have one more condition. But the point is that it will only return the result when both the conditions are true. If we are using and we have two conditions, then both the conditions should be true. अभी देखते हैं इसको change. Let's change it to this. Now what values will get? Nothing, empty set. Why? Because in this case, this condition is true, name equal to ID is correct, but there is no ID like 0759 in the records. So this condition is false. So already we know, because we have learned this in Python also, in conditional programming, and when we were discussing logical operators also, and or not, that in case of and, all the conditions should be met, all the conditions should be true. Then only SQL will fetch some records from the database. If one of the condition is not true, then it will not fetch anything from the database. And this is the output we got. See, empty set, right? So now let's quickly learn how we can use the OR. The same here. In place of and, we can put OR. Okay. And when you press enter, oh, we got 3 records. Now, why is it so? When we were using and, we didn't get any record, but when we used or, we got 3 records. Anyone? Now this is possible because we are using
So can you
or.
please repeat the question?
The question is that when we were using this query and, right, we didn't get anything. We didn't fetch any record, right? But when we use the same query and in place of and, we used or, then we got 3 records. Why is it so? ऐसा क्यों हुआ है?
Sir,
Any
because and
because
requires
or will check either of the conditions. If any one of the condition gets satisfied, it will show the records.
Parul ma'am, your voice is
Yes.
echoing. Your voice is echoing a lot.
Now or, we are, as we have used or now, and in case of or, we already know that even if one of the condition is true, right, then it will fetch the records. Or in case of our logical operators of conditional programming, even if we are using 2 conditions and we are using or, if one of the condition is true, then all statements under if will execute, right? So same is here, same criteria applies here also. So we are using or, edit name equal to edit true tha, but ye false tha. Now one is true, so that's why we got all these records. Okay. So basically this is how it works, and we can also use not also with this. Now थोड़ा इसमें change करना पड़ेगा. We need to change this. Okay. So let's change this to 4015 कर देते हैं. So 4015 को छोड़ के it will display everything, right? So this is how we can use not. So it will show all other IDs, or sorry, population, except for a city whose ID is 4015. So this is how with where clause we can use and, right? We can use and when we have more than one condition. Same as with or, right? And then we can use not to reverse a condition, output of a condition. Right? It's quite similar. इतना difficult नहीं लग रहा होगा आपको, for the reason because if you are very clear with the logical operators, right? हमने conditional programming में if else में भी करके देखा है, so it's similar to that, right? So this is what we have learned in today's session, right? That first thing is how we can connect to our local server, MySQL server. Then how we can shift to SQL prompt. We also learned that how we can see what all databases are available in our local server using the use command. We also learned that how we can check what all tables are available in a database, right? Show tables, show database, show tables, and then we also learn about the select command, right? And in different ways it can be used. Okay, we use logical operators also with select and or and not, right? So I'll just wind up here because I believe that this much is enough for today's session. But again, all you need to do is you need to practice it. And the first thing you need to do is please install this MySQL shell for Windows, right? It's freely available. Freely available. You don't have to buy any license or anything like that. Simply Google में जाके आप कर दीजिए download MySQL shell for Windows. Simple सा एक setup है. Next करते जाइए and done. Okay. Install हो जाएगा and rest all you know. I told you how to start it, how to log in to the server, right? Keep practicing, and that's it from my side. Tomorrow when we'll meet, we'll continue with this. First we'll discuss select, right?
Sir,
Because
Abhay,
there
sir,
are other.
Parul ma'am had just posted a query. She just wanted to know how to display the first 100 records.
Okay, in that case, you can use the limit command.
Okay, which we'll be learning
Right.
later.
Yeah, we'll be learning later. If you want, I can show it to you right now. But otherwise, we'll be discussing it in the next coming session. You can use the limit command, right? देख लेते हैं चलो एक बार आप कह ही रहे हो तो select star from city limit let's say 10 कर लें ठीक है जी.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
We'll be discussing this in the next coming session, right? Well, that's it from my side. Thank you very much. We'll meet tomorrow.